Hello and welcome to Bad Dog Comedy TV, live comedy on YouTube. Get ready for Slumber Party. And please welcome to your screens and go wild in the chat for your host, Ophira Calof.
Hello! Thank you so much for being here and for watching Slumber Party. My name is Ophira. I am a white, fat, femme-presenting person. I have long brown curly hair that's gotten kind of straight during the pandemic. So, I guess wavy, and it's up in a top knot because Slumber Party style. I'm wearing thick frame turquoise glasses, a white and navy blue neck brace, a red velvety shrug thing, and a Tita Powered t-shirt that is from the Tita Collective. And behind me is a purple wall hanging, and you can see a part of my couch with all sorts of things on it, including a panda bear. Also, I'm wearing earphones, and because my ears just eject them quite frequently, I'll likely be fiddling with them a bit throughout the show. Before I say anything else, I'd like us all to just take a moment to kind of take a breath and think about the lands and waterways that each of us are inhabiting and are on right in this particular moment. I know that at a virtual show, we're all kind of coming in from different places, but let's just take a moment and acknowledge that we each have a relationship to the land that we're on. For me personally, the lands that I'm on is not my land. My family settled on it. And this is the lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit. And many other nations, recorded and unrecorded, who have been stewarding and caring for this land since time from the very beginning. So let's just take a breath, take a moment, and think about what we all can actively do to decolonize our spaces within ourselves, within our family and friends, our institutions, and broader society as a whole. Okay, how is everyone feeling? Good. I'm going to assume that people are feeling cozy and comfortable and have snacks. I have snacks, some popcorn beside me. And we are going to get into this slumber party. So I am so incredibly excited to introduce the special guest artist for this show. This person is a comedian, a writer, a performer, a producer, a plant mom, a poet, an illustrator, multi-award winning human at so many different things, and also happens to be one of my all-time favorite humans in the world. It's Alia Rasul. Oh no, I can't hear you. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Hello. I'm Alia. I am a Filipina, fat, femme presenting person. I have straight black hair tied in a bun with a pink scrunchie because it's a slumber party. And I'm wearing peach translucent thick frame glasses, and I'm wearing a black and white crisscross pattern top. And behind me, you'll see some black and white art prints and a little bit of a plant and a little bit of a bike. So, you know, it's just a classic millennial household. I am also wearing headphones. So same thing. I might be fiddling with them because I'm falling out.
Amazing. I just realized I forgot to mention in my intro, my pronouns are she, they. Alia, what are your pronouns?
She, her.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming to this slumber party. You know, I've missed hanging out with you because pandemic. So I'm so glad that we get to do this. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really hot because it's so humid and sticky today. And other than that, I've got my bubble tea here. I'm pretty great. I got this spritzer thing. It's like a glass bottle with a spritzer spout, and it's usually for plants, but you know, it works for me.
I am hoping that this is featured throughout the show. For those of you who can't see it, Alia just spritzed herself with the water spritzer for her plants.
And it was refreshing. Very refreshing.
Amazing. Well, okay, this is the thing. Slumber parties, I'm just one of those hosts that I'm very particular about my space. I like to establish things up front because I think that makes it more relaxing for all of us if we can do that. So before we get into it, I would like to share the house rules. Oh, okay. So the first rule in this slumber party is you do you. For everyone watching and for Alia and for me, please, everyone, feel free to engage with the show in whatever way works best for you. You can, on your own computer, turn the volume up or down, the brightness up or down, whatever feels most comfortable for you to view this show. You can. The wonderful thing about an online show is that you can take it with you if you want to go get a snack, if you want some water, if you want to leave us for a bit and go and then come back. Whatever you would like to do, please know that is the whole point of this. And we love that. Also, I'm so glad that some of you are already using the chat function. Feel free to chat with us, to ask questions, and to be part of the show. Things that there will be in this show are, we're going to integrate visual descriptions. So that's kind of what Alia and I were already doing, of just describing visual things that are going on. There will be an archives recording of the show with captions added. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have live captions for this particular show, but there will be a version later of it with captions. As you heard, there's little bits of music kind of in between sections, and there will most definitely be silliness because, you know, it's a slumber party. There will not be any strobe effects. So that's any kind of visual thing that is like pulsating or bright flashing lights, and we're not going to have any sudden noises either. The music, as you heard, is like pretty calm throughout. And then we move on to this party has a schedule because, again, I am one of those hosts. So to give you an idea of what to expect throughout the evening, at the start, and we're already like making our way through it, we have the introduction and going over the house rules. The next section is going to be entertainment. Alia, as our special guest, is going to bring the entertainment for the evening. And then after she's presented her piece, we're going to snack, we're going to chat. This is when also, if anyone has any questions, we can chat about them. And then, as a typical slumber party goes, when you've been either eating a lot of sugar or drinking a lot of alcohol or smoking or whatever it is you're doing, or you're just tired. For me, it's usually just tired and sugar. But that's because I'm on medication for chronic illness. Anyways, we will get to our silly activity. This time it's a little bit of a surprise, but we will be presenting some tips and tricks, a makeover style bit at that point, and then that will be the end of the show. So that brings us to, we know what to expect, we know what's going to happen, and the last rule of the show, it's not really a rule. This is a free party, but if you'd like to give a host gift, check out the link right under this video. It's baddogtheater.com/slumberparty, and you can donate, and that will help keep this show going and all of the other amazing shows on Bad Dog TV. And if you want to catch up with them, there's also a subscribe button right under that you can click, and then you can stay up to date on all of the amazing shows, and this one going forward, because it's going to be every second week. Whew, okay, those were the rules.
Noted.
Do you feel more welcome by these rules, or?
I feel very welcome by these rules.
I mean, I'm so glad. It's like, you know where the bathroom is, you know that, like, you know, the fridge only can be opened at certain times, the lay of the land situation for this party. Okay, we got through the introduction and the house rules, and we're about to go into the entertainment portion. So, Alia, how are you doing?
I'm very good. I am good. Yeah, I'm very excited to share this thing that I've been working on with you, Ophira. So excited. Yeah, should I talk about it a little bit? Let's set it.
Sure.
Okay, so you know, like all of those like Forbes list 30 under 30 things. I love reading like 30 under 30 lists. You know, like it really gives me a sense of what's happening in the world. It really gives me a sense of what's important in the world. And like what I learned is the most important thing in the world is the number 30 and not surpassing that.
Okay, before we go into it, let's have your introduction and then officially begin.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
All right, so here we go. So I decided to put a list of, 30 things that are under 30 that I personally, subjectively think is important. So, okay, first thing, these goats in a tree. So as you can see, there are about 12 goats in a tree facing different directions at different elevations of the tree. They're on branches on this tree. I think they're having fun. But the most important thing to me is that there's 12 of them. I think there's 12, maybe 10 to 12, 12. And I feel like it's good that there are 12 of them because if there were like 30, the tree would probably fall. So that is item number 1 on my list, 30 goats on a tree? Too much. Less than 30? Perfect. Next slide, please. Here we go. This is a shiny Mylar balloon of the number 30, but what I really want to talk about is this woman who's having breakfast in bed. Under that, breakfast in bed, and if you look at her tray, she's got both the savory and sweet options. So to me, this lady is a breakfast boss in bed who knows what she wants, and she's under 30. So she is my number 2 most important person that is under 30. Are you getting a feel for this list, Ophira?
I am loving this list.
Next slide, please. Okay, if you grew up watching, I don't know, I think it's Nickelodeon, maybe. Number 3 is bananas in pajamas. There's only 2 of them. They're bananas. They're in pajamas. They're going down those stairs. And if you can imagine, if there were 30 bananas going down those stairs at the same time, it's a fire hazard. So the option to keep them at 2, very important. That's number 3 on the list. Next one, please. 4-leaf clovers. Okay, come on. If there were like 30 leaf clovers, they would be really easy to find. That would ruin the thrill of the search. So 4-leaf clovers all the way. Obviously, that's the number 4 on the list. Next slide, please. 3 Musketeers, a classic. It's good that there's only 3 because if you look clearly, as demonstrated by this picture that has 30 Musketeers, clearly not social distancing, it's a crowd. 3 means every single Musketeer gets, the space that they need, gets the attention that they need in a very important literary work. So 3 Musketeers. Next slide, please. February. This is pretty obvious. February was the only month that went against the grain. So, February is the only one that said 28 days or 29 days is enough. We could all learn from February. Thank you, February. Next slide, please. 7-11. Number 7 is under 30. Number 11 is under 30. It's always convenient. Very clear contender for this list. Next slide, please. Foreplay. This is a stretch, just like Chris Hemsworth is stretching here in this photo. And I don't know if I really need to explain this. Thank you, Connor. 6-pack. A 6-pack of beer because it's the only 6-pack that isn't obnoxious. Next slide, please. May 2-4. It is almost never on the 24th, but it is definitely never on the 30th. Very important. It's a commitment. Next slide, please. These are my brothers. Aren't they cute? They're both under 30 and they're good guys. My mom did a really good job raising them. They may not be millionaires. They may not be CEOs. They may not make it to the Forbes list 30 under 30. Well, they've got a few years. But they always make time to find this joy in smaller things in life, and they don't care about, success based on a flawed capitalistic idea. Next slide, please. And item 12 is a 13-way tie between the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, -1, and 0, because they are not 13 and they're all useful for math. And that brings us to the end of this very important presentation. Thank you.
Yay! I am thoroughly entertained. Thank you so much. Let's move into talking about this with I feel like the popcorn dancing was just like very on brand with the feeling of the list that you just delivered.
Yeah, I'm really excited to present it to my business meeting tomorrow.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I feel like the presentation was very smooth, very well done. It's like quite ready to move on to the next level.
Yeah, I'm an improviser, so I'm great at public speaking.
Yes, and life does not come with a script. Anyways. So, okay. This moving into the conversation. Tell me, what do you think it is about the number 30 that everyone's just very like 30 under 30 is such a thing? Why? What are your thoughts?
Well, because after 30, everything just sort of disappears. Yeah, I imagine like as soon as you turn 30, like you just sort of like fade away into a land where missing socks go. You know? I mean, I'm 33. Once in a while, I'm in a boardroom full of like people, and I'm always having to check if they know I'm there. You know, like, hello, you just repeated the same thing I just said. Did you notice I was here? I don't know if that's 30 or if that's patriarchy.
I mean, like probably both. I would imagine. I mean, I don't know. I'm currently under 30, so I have something to.
Rub it in, Ophira. Rub it in.
Am I a real person? I mean, it depends who you ask. But, you know, the lands of lost socks is not quite yet mine yet.
I could probably take out Chris Hemsworth from that list and add you in.
Ooh, stretching? I could stretch.
I just thought, yeah, no, that was a weird. I don't know. It's like 30 under 30. Why? It sounds nice, but it's so funny. Like when I was growing up, I actually was like, if I don't make it to a 30 under 30 list, then I've like failed in life. And it's like after 30, like hopefully I go on to live a long life. So it's sort of like, you know, but I did, like when I was younger, I was really like, people who are 30 and beyond, what is their purpose? It's like an ageist little shit.
I mean, it's like so embedded into everything. Like for me, I remember I had such a strong idea of like this escalator of like life steps that like I was going to go to school and I was going to graduate. I was going to like do multiple degrees because that's a thing I thought, and like get a job and have a very specific thing. And then in my first year of university is when kind of my disability made itself very known and was like, oh, like, you know, this escalator, this is not your escalator. Go find a path through the meadow. Which honestly, like meadows are so much prettier than escalators. I don't know whether they're more accessible. They're both they have their own challenges. Like escalators are very narrow. So, you know, my power wheelchair can't exactly fit on it, but meadows are bumpy. Anyway, that's a side part of this metaphor.
I haven't been near a meadow or an elevator in a long time. I think 100 days. It's fantastic, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. How are we feeling about this pandemic, and specifically, what are things that you're finding that are nice in the midst of a pandemic, which is not nice. Pandemics are not nice things.
Well, what's nice about the pandemic?
No, the pandemic's not nice. What is nice for you and your life?
Okay. Well, I started to like home make, you know.
Ooh.
So like I think when I was before pandemic, BP, or before COVID, is that BC now?
I mean,
BP, like I think I was just like really busy, and I think it kind of goes back to that, like, oh, achieving things before you're 30, even though I'm 33. I don't know. Like you round down. That's not the point. Anyway, so like yeah, I think I was just like so busy being busy. Like I really, really valued being busy. So I kept myself like, I got a lot of like validation from like projects and taking on projects and achieving things, that like my home was basically like a dorm room. Even though I'd lived here for 4 years, like I had no furniture. My fridge was empty with the exception of like maybe a few Uber Eats things that I hadn't thrown out in months. It was bad. It was bad. And like, because you're stuck in this like tiny space, well, especially the beginning of the pandemic, like I just had lots of time. So I started to like move furniture around, and like now I have like a routine. I have like 35 plants. I started with 0. I have like a vegetable garden now. And you know what I realized? Like there's just sort of like minding those small things has actually provided a lot of like joy. Like I wake up and I see that my apartment is beautiful and it's exactly the way I want it. Like I wake up feeling energized right away. And there's like a lot of pride, like knowing that like every time I take care of my apartment, it's just like an extension of me. Like I know that I'm making this apartment nice for me, and that's just nice, you know. And I never really thought about that as self-care. I always thought self-care was kind of like I don't know, like okay, I did this today, but like sushi and bubble tea, which it still is. But like I didn't realize that self-care was also like, doing the small things, like having a tea next to like a bunch of flowers that you grew from seed. So yeah. It's just like,
so
yeah. So those are like the small things that I just never thought. I feel like, oh, I remember growing basil from seedlings, and they hadn't grown for like a few weeks, and I was starting to feel down about it. I was like emotionally invested. Then one day I look at this pot and saw like 8 little like seedlings. I was like, yeah, and I felt joy, like so much joy. And I'm kind of like, I just keep pulling from that. And that's like, I think about, like that 30 under 30. It's sort of like you're only going to be happy if you're like the CEO or if you're like the star of the show. But to be honest, like there have been things in my life where, like that have been really cool. Like I've been on anyway, I've been things that are like pretty brag worthy, and like none of them really made me feel the way I felt when I like put dill in my potato salad for the first time, and I didn't know that was a great combination. I remember like eating it because I have one of those like prepared food delivery boxes, so it forces you to try things that you never have tried, right? So like I tried it, and I'm like, like the moment that was from putting dill in potatoes. like I don't like I don't need all of those things that a lot of people who are in the 30 under 30 thing, I didn't think it's just like finding happiness in such small things is like my biggest takeaway from the pandemic. Just like buying this spritzer, which I will spritz my face with again. It's hot. But this also, like spritzing my plants every day, is like very fun.
That's so lovely. I was going to say Alia for as a visual description, Alia is wearing glasses. So when she was spritzing her face, I was a little concerned. So she just cleaned them and put them back on. Also, as a slight side note, if you aren't following Alia on Instagram, you should be, especially recently with all of her incredible plant content. It's quite excellent. Her Instagram is always very excellent. So you should do that. But in the realm of what you were saying, I fully, like, I've been experiencing that too. And it's interesting because when the pandemic started, I was like, well, this is normal for me. Like, I'm often quite housebound, and I have a difficult time getting out anyways. Leading up into the pandemic, I was in a flare and hadn't gone out for about a month. And then all of a sudden everyone else was at home too. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess we're all doing it now. But I didn't realize how much of my energy, how much of my brain was pushing, like, just thinking about engaging and like keeping up, as opposed to just checking in on what I myself needed. I was always thinking about like what's happening outside, how can I like physically get there, what's my transportation situation, like what am I going to do there, am I like, oh no, everyone's doing things and I'm not, what can I try to figure out how to do from home? And I think something that I've learned about myself too during this pandemic is like, I think like I've started just playing the piano, not to write a song, but just to play the piano. Mm-hmm. I moved it to right by my window, and I like look outside and just, I don't even play songs. Like I just play random melodies and go like, oh wow, I love music. I forgot that it just fulfills me. Or I sing just in my apartment, sometimes random melodies. And like, it takes a solid like 15 minutes for me to remember that I live in an apartment building and do have neighbors, and that likely they have heard all of my random. But this is the nice thing about not going outside is like, I'm not going to run into them, like we're not going to have to make eye contact and be reminded of it. And so just like kind of checking in with your own space and being grounded, which kind of leads me to another thought, which is, how do you think that applies to, and I'm gonna say comedy, but when I say comedy, I'm meaning like writing, performance, producing, like I guess to art in general.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I've learned recently, and I've only really started doing comedy like over the last 5 years. And in the beginning, I was very much like in that 30 under 30 mindset where, like you have to collect all of these achievements in order to feel like you've, that you're progressing in the comedy world. So, there's like that. Okay, you finish all your courses, you get into Second City Conservatory or whatever program. After that, you either get into like another master program, and then, you start getting into their specific show. You know what I mean? Like there's that, like, again, that list. And then, if you get in like a fringe, like there's just a lot of those, like the top fringe shows to watch, the top comedians to watch, and all of those things. And I've been, I want to brag, but like I've been on some of those lists, and like that's great. That's really good to have on your resume. But the most joy I've ever had now, like for myself, and I'm sure that's different from everyone else, the most joy I've ever had is like finding intention in the work. Finding intention in the work and finding intention in like the process and knowing better like what I want out of it. So a lot of that came from me being a part of a group named Tita Collective, like Tita Power, that's your shirt. So, and we are 6 Filipinas who write sketch comedy together. We write more sketch comedy together, but we're known for our sketch comedy. And all we wanted to do was celebrate our Filipina elders, you know? And just coming from that, like that was our intention. Our intention wasn't to get on the best stage. Our intention wasn't to get on lists, or, you know, it was to have a great time, being respectful to each other, exploring this story that we never really got to. In like, there aren't a lot of Filipinas. Like, there are amazing Philippine comedians in the community, but like, there's not a lot, right? There's probably like 2 handfuls, maybe. I'm being generous. And so like, I never had, like, I was always the only Filipina in my class, maybe even the only Asian or the only woman of color, right? So I never really got to explore like my stuff in depth. Like, even in my conservatory program, I was always the Asian one, but I wasn't my Asian one. I was the Asian that like Toronto knows. Because that's what I wrote those things because that's what I felt like. Oh, people need for me to be funny, people need to understand what it is. So I never I never was given like incentive to explore my things. And when there are 6 Filipinas, you know, you realize each of your journeys as Filipinas are very different. And so I started looking really inwards and in depth, and then we got to, you know, like looking at like how we were all similar and how we were all different. That really helped me see a lot of like, oh, this is my life. This is who I am. This is my life. And then it started giving me a lot of clarity on what I care about in comedy. So it kind of happens in the moment where so originally the intention of Tita Jokes was we just want 6 Filipinas on stage and we want to elevate sketch comedy. That was our first intention. And then when our first run at the Second City, so we did like a 3-show run, and we were so scared because we thought it was funny, but we're like, I don't know if people would think it's funny. You know, because like sketch comedy and live comedy is not really a thing that like Filipinos go to. And so that would be new for them. And for the people in the comedy community, it's like Filipino content is not really something that they've seen before. So we were stressed. And the biggest takeaway that we had, this biggest takeaway we took away was that like, whatever we did, it helped bring a community together, and it helped us be closer to a community, and that became our intention with our comedy. And so, yeah, so it's sort of like everything then. So the process of creating comedy, the process of like thinking about like what are the points of view that all of that, like it's not the show, whether it's going to get on those like top 30 lists or whether it's going to win awards. It was the process of like, I want to honor my mom. This joke that I thought that was about a thing that was scary, people laughed at it, wanted to talk about. I got a message from someone saying, oh, I felt really reflected in that one moment. Like finding those small joys in the process was more, it's just like so much more meaningful than getting into a Now magazine list, you know? So it's like finding the small joys. And I think for me to be able to get to there, I needed to find out, like, I need to really define what was important for me as an individual rather than like, don't get me wrong, all of those lists and all of the lauds, awards, the lauds, like they're important. Like if you want to sell a show, right? But and I think we needed them because people didn't really know who we were. But I think once people started to realize what we were about, then they started caring about even the small things we do. So we share like stupid moments on Instagram stories. and that brought us joy. And like now we're more confident sharing that because we think it'll bring people joy. And it's not like our award winning, I'm like slowly bragging, but like
you should. Like it's incredible.
now I realize people aren't necessarily watching our show because it was like award-winning, sold out, blah blah blah. Sure, that gets people out, but I think people want to watch our show because like we're just a bunch of goofballs. We're just a bunch of goofballs having a great time, and like, yeah, and that's why I do it. Like now, that's why I do comedy, and comedy has brought me so much joy once I've gotten past all of like, you know, all of the angst about like, oh, am I a good enough a comedian? Do they think I'm funny? Oh, I'm not getting. Once I got past all that, which was very painful, and realized like sort of what comedy could actually mean, it's given me a lot. Like comedy gave me, because you have to like talk about things in a very truthful, honest way. And don't be wrong, get therapy. You know what I mean? This is not therapy, but like still, you know, spending an hour on a joke and thinking about like how this is actually true is like a really good exercise to self-reflect, which is awesome. And so when I think about like how people don't necessarily have access to that, it kind of boils my blood, you know, like it kind of like makes me like, it makes me sad. And yeah. And so that's sort of like my whole thing. Like comedy is for community and it's for everyone. It's given me a lot of joy. So I want to work hard to make sure everyone has that because it's helped me a lot.
I mean, when I came to the Fringe show, which was kind of, so there was a sketch version before it, but I feel like your Fringe run of Tita Jokes was kind of like the first big run of it. And like, I remember, like, I went to the Friday show. It was your relaxed performance. And even just being outside the theater, the feeling of like energy and community that then like carried into the theater. Like I have never been in a space that just being in there, like it was electric. It was so exciting. And then like you all came out on stage and it was just like this incredible moment that I feel has really carried through everything that you do. And it's interesting because with all of, there's so many comedy classes and like we talk about point of view quite a bit in comedy, but I don't think we ever really talk about the why. Like I feel like that's kind of, and point of view can be in the realm of like, it can be anything, like your perspective on like what kind of coffee you want, or it can be something political, or it can be something personal. But I think the why is internal and it's so necessary. And it really flows through all of the work. And honestly, I mean, as much as, you know, institutions and awards are, you know, their own thing, but I think that so much of the recognition for your work is like, it's undeniable. Like watching.
Wow.
It's true though. Like it just flows through everything that you do. This sense of community, this sense of like celebrating. It's really incredible. Oh, I want to put out there, just, I said at the beginning, but that was a long time ago. You know, and we're like doing a slumber party. So let's pretend we're like a couple of hours in already. It's been ages since we did those house rules. If anyone wants to ask any questions, also feel free to do that in the chat. Also, feel free to snack while we do this. I have popcorn.
I've got these Filipino sweets called choc.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like the original Reese's Pieces, in my opinion.
Oh my goodness, I want some.
Yeah, it's like so tasty and crumbly. I don't know. This is my favorite sweet ever. It's like Nutella, but you've dehydrated it.
I mean, that sounds incredible.
Does that sound good? It tastes like stale Reese's.
Okay, the word stale is not engaging me.
I'm just saying, it's just a very specific texture. Like, it's like, you know, flake.
Yeah.
But like, imagine you like minimize flake so that I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's basically like powder that's really barely holding together.
I mean, I once bought like dehydrated peanut butter. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but it's like just, I guess like it must just be crumbled peanuts, but it's like powder. And then the idea is that you can like add water, but you can like put it in sauces and things like that. But I also would just like have a spoon of this like powdered like peanut dust and be like, yes, this is a snack. Like, this is good.
Could you turn it into a drink?
Yeah, I mean, like if you put it with a liquid.
Like peanut tang?
I mean, probably. I would assume so.
That's not that weird. People put peanut in smoothies. I don't know why. Yeah. Right, that was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I like to pretend that I'm having a milkshake by like freezing bananas and doing like frozen banana and peanut butter and milk. And then I tell myself it's a milkshake, but it just is with ingredients that I had at the back of my freezer. So, you know.
I respect that.
I mean, you gotta get, oh my goodness.
Really?
A question.
Really, Avery Jean? Why does Alia hate musicals so much? I'm sorry. Musicals are all like, this is my trauma, key change. I'm not a good singer.
We once, Alia and I went through a number of different musical songs and just took turns singing like, this is my trauma, this is my trauma.
This thing is my trauma, and only white people are here. Key change.
Oh, real.
Trauma. It's a Batman musical. Should I recreate the Batman musical?
I mean, there's already Spider-Man.
And then there's dancing. I don't know.
I mean, I guess dancing is part of it. I don't know. I use a wheelchair. What do I know?
I'm sure some musicals are fine.
Monica says that it can also be, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, which is very accurate. So if it's Batman, oh, I don't even know. What's this Batman do? Fights crime.
Oh yeah, Batman would be like, I'm thinking of my trauma. I don't know.
While I stand on this building and stare at the people.
Change.
I mean, okay, I understand the criticism.
I don't know.
But like, I personally do narrate my activities in, oh my goodness, there's already a Batman musical. I did not know this.
I wrote it. Actually, I wrote it. It didn't do well, and that's why I hate musicals. They're just millions of dollars.
It's really hard. I mean, all of that money. All ends up making the perfect bat signal.
Where's my IKEA vest? Actually, it's right here.
As a context, these IKEA vests were part of the production behind the scenes of Literally Titanium, which was a show that Alia produced and that I wrote and performed, that are just like really great vests.
I bought 20.
Yeah, I have around 7.
Only needed 2. You know what? I can't, like, it was a bargain. I was like, 99 cents each? Yes.
Like, I'm very sure that they're going to come in handy at some point. Alia is currently putting on the vest. It's like bright yellow and has at the bottom the strips of reflective lighting. It's very, very signature safety vest. And
hey, I'm Alia Rasul, star of the show.
Yes.
During the times.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you like literally titanium. It was lots of fun to do, and it's wild to believe that it was only in January, which was like within this calendar year. See, literally titanium was a show where anytime it got to, like, I was talking, telling a story, and then anytime the emotions got high, I burst into song. And so this is my defense of musicals, because I personally do narrate my actions in a musical form, and it has only become more pronounced with this whole I live alone, and it's been a while without much human interaction. So I do, like I said, like, and I'm putting the pan on the stove, and I go like, good for you, pan. And I'm like,
is this a debate like pro musicals, anti musicals?
I mean, I will also note for anyone who hasn't seen Tita Jokes that Tita Jokes is a musical sketch comedy show.
How dare you? How dare you? Comedy is not musical theater, okay? It's like a league on its own. And also, I just remembered why I hate musicals. It's because of Dear Evan Hansen.
You know what? I'm with you on that one, but go forth.
And the fact that there's like, and the fact that there's like more than one musical with this kind of like, this like sort of idea where this young white privileged man can act with impunity.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention the ableism that flows through in all of the discussion about what behavior, what someone can be held accountable for. That's a lot of patronizing ableism going on there too, tied into, the fact that he is white and male.
Nothing happened to him. Yeah. Spoilers.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Maybe people are really invested in seeing Dear Evan Hansen in the future.
Anyway, I said the word impunity. Anyway, so this is someone who did something terrible and nothing happens to him.
Yes.
Plus beautiful music. You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is like the music is beautiful, but it almost like serves to be like, this is such a beautiful thing. And it like tricks you into not thinking about like, wait, like, no, what happened was like not cool. But the music's so like lovely that it tricks you.
You know what would be great? If we like took musicals and like got rid of the music part, and then let's just see if the story stands on its own. Let's see.
I mean, I feel like in this imaginary debate of musicals, that point and that exercise would not be helpful for the pro musical category. But hey, there's super cool people writing musicals like Avery Jean in the chat. So, you're going to have to get on board at some point.
Mary Chris is like, you mean a play? Mary Chris, you're part of the Tina Collective. You're supposed to be on my side.
The side of music, because Tina Jokes is a musical sketch show. Oh my goodness. Okay, I just looked at the time and realized that we have talked about musicals for a while.
I just got fired up. I don't know.
Me too. It really got me going. But we had to switch because I think it's very on brand. At this point, we are getting very silly. So let's switch to the next phase. That genuinely was me, that picture.
Personally, I felt like I started with.
In that realm. Okay. Alia and I have prepared a couple of makeover tips for all of you at home, because that's a thing that people do at slumber parties. Honestly, I should have been clear up top. I don't think I've ever attended a slumber party, so I'm just like living out my interpretation and doing what I want because, my house rules. But makeovers is apparently a thing, and I'm going to get let Alia go first with, actually, you know what? Alia's is so good. She has to go second. She has to go second.
Why are you setting up that expectation?
Okay, so for today's makeover, Alia and I focused primarily on plants. As anyone who follows Alia's Instagram knows, plants are very important to her and by extension to me. At Alia Rasul, there you go. So I was trying to think of like what we can do to like support plants better, and also like a bit of a life hack situation. And I realized that I have multiple drawers full of old prescription bottles because, you know, it comes with the territory of disability and chronic illness. So I figured multi-purpose, let's like figure this out. And let me see. I have a whole section of pill bottles with ribbons that have, these are fake plants because, you know, that's what I'm working with here. And they hold them so nicely, right? So like you have these and these flowers. They also can hold your flower plants that's actually a boa, just showing the range of the capacity of pill bottles. You know, if you have any like fake rare gemstones, they can be held in these too. Also, old coupons. So it is very multi-purpose. And for your actual plants, you can, wait for it, use the, oh, my poor plant is leaning terribly, my jade. You can use the bottom of your pill thing for your plants. I know, I'm like really the world here right now, and you're welcome for this information. All of your home makeovers. I'm sure you're all trying this right now. Okay, let's go over to Alia.
So like I misunderstood the assignment a little bit and tried to give my plant a makeover. So as in like a makeover of like what I think would work for me, because everything's about me. So I'm going to make over my snake plant here. Her name's Myrna. And so the first thing I would do to make myself feel good is give myself some eyebrows. It's like a nice, good, fully shaped eyebrow. Like thick, you know, because that's the in thing now. Eyebrows. And, you know, what else would I do? You know, so I would like kind of like, you know, try to look at how am I feeling? Like, do I want like a light lip? Like a light lip? And if I'm feeling kind of saucy, like maybe like a dark lip. Dark lips. You need to like prime Myrna. So I'm gonna spritz Myrna, my plant, a little bit. You know, prime her, right? And then, you know, like you need a fun earring, like a fun earring, like a fun, colorful earring. That's one. And they don't have to match. You know, but maybe like stay in the same color spectrum. So here's me hanging some colorful earrings on Myrna's pot. And then obviously hair is everything. Like for me, my crowning journey is hair. And so for Myrna, I decided to give Myrna a nice little coronavirus bang. Like just like a nice, you know, and like, yeah. I think Myrna's ready for a night out.
I mean, I would go out with her.
Yeah.
She's looking very good.
Like honestly, I'm jealous of the eyebrow.
They're so good.
And that's Myrna.
Oh my goodness. Amazing. I feel like we really like gave a breadth of, different tools that everyone watching can kind of like take with them in their life, which ultimately is the point of slumber parties, I think, having never been to one, right? For a visual description, Alia just took the blonde wig that was on her plants. That is a very tiny blonde wig, and is putting it on her head. The bangs are actually like very well aligned and look quite good.
Honestly, I have to warn everyone, like I did this and thought I could like get away with a good bangs. And like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Also hair grows, so whatever, do whatever you want.
You do you. It was one of the house rules.
I know, you do you. I mean, I'm coming from experience, but you do you.
But you do you. You know, sometimes we all got to go through it. So this is bringing us to the end of the show. I would like to thank everyone so much for tuning in. Alia, thank you so much. You're the greatest.
You're the greatest.
Aw, thanks. Your hair looks so good. It went up earlier, but you can follow Alia at Alia Rasul. Oh my goodness, she just put the lips on, and they're pretty spectacular. Alia, do you have anything you want to super quickly just like let people know about?
Yes. Please come check out this awesome show that we're putting on next week on YouTube. Called Island Women Rise. So it's going to be like a comedy show that's all Filipina comedians from across the world. And I'm so excited to do it. So it's June 30, which is like the last day of Philippine Heritage Month. So we're going to say goodbye to June and welcome in a new age of, Filipinas ruling the world. Filipinas ruling the world. Yeah.
It's going to be so good. I'm so excited to be able to watch it. Yes, thank you all for watching. Click subscribe. Alia's holding up the plants again. It's really quite nice. The earrings are really great, and so are the lips. The plants itself is nice too. So click subscribe if you would like to donate. That link is at the bottom, and we'd really appreciate it to keep the show running. You can follow me at ophira.c, and you can keep up with the show. It's going to be every second week, but honestly, subscribe to this channel because there's amazing shows going on every single night, produced by Bad Dog and Coco Galore, and it's just absolutely incredible. I've been watching it, and it's been great. So, all right, it is the time. We're all going to go to bed because we had a successful slumber party. Thank you so much for being here. Good night.
Work.